Hello my brothers and sisters of Yoder, welcome back to Yoder. I'm Celtic Templar, and welcome to another how-to video. And today, y'all, we're actually going to be doing a video on the Irish Kern, and which this is a happy St. Patrick's Day weekend for y'all. Which this one we had second place behind our said Roman auxiliary Celti, and in such, what I want to do with this is do the historical version of what they were stated to have been by a said poem or text that was actually written somewhere in Ireland at the what I can understand it was the Albi of St. Patrick. So, or Albi of St. Patrick, as some people pronounce it in Ireland. So yeah, don't start getting after me because there are different pronunciations in Ireland. So yeah, keep me out of it. Now, what we can understand about the Irish Kern of how they were dressed. It's actually stated the way they would have dressed would have been known as the Lightfoot, as they were nicknamed. The reason they were nicknamed the Lightfoot is because, one, I'm not wearing any shoes, and secondly, nor am I wearing any pants. People might automatically wonder, Templar, why are you not wearing that? Simple. Because that's actually what these guys were. The Irish Kern were peasant soldiers. These guys were skirmish units. These guys attacked Vikings, English, and sometimes the Scottish during the year of 1315 with Lightfoot equipment. The only thing heavy enough that I would actually pronounce as heavy would be their shield. They would not wear any armor unless they count the cloak. It's actually highly stated that their equipment was as follows: a long dagger or long knife-like weapon like I got here, like a Scottish dirk. As well, sometimes they would even have hatchets. They would have a sling, but the majority of the times they were of a ranged unit, meaning they attacked their opponent using skirmish-style warfare. They attacked their opponent while they were in a convoy-type movement, meaning these spears I got here are meant for throwing. The sling I'm going to be using is meant for throwing projectiles, although I'm not going to be putting any type of ammo in there because, one, it's kind of dangerous. And one major thing that did actually state about the Irish Kern is that they blended into their surroundings. Meaning they would have worn outfits somewhat like this that would camouflage themselves with the said surroundings. In fact, my cloak right here, as I'm wearing, is green, extreme green actually. So yeah, and pretty much when it comes down to it, this is how it would actually look. However, they would have also probably worn of a mixed dyes, sometimes brown, sometimes light red. It depended on the region. But as you can see, the reason why they were nicknamed the Lightfoot was because they actually just, well, always moved around on their feet. In fact, the movement would sound almost near identical to that of a deer. In fact, it's actually stated that they were to run in place with animals or to try and sound like animals. And in fact, the early Irish Kern faced off against the Vikings and as well the Anglo-Irish, or in this case the Norman Anglo-Saxons, when they invaded Ireland. And as such, even when the Scots actually invaded in 1315, the Irish Kern actually became part of that unit, to aid none other than Edward Bruce, brother of Robert the Bruce. So now many people are understanding the difference. Well, the early Irish Kern were somewhere between the 7th to the 13th century. However, this type of design and equipment would still be used by the time of the 14th century, but later on, by the said late 14th and early 15th century, they designed and changed to this design of Irish Kern. So, yeah, huge difference. Major thing I already hear a lot of y'all asking, Templar, how many javelins were they stated to have thrown? Well, actually, it's stated they carried handfuls of javelins. So probably 5, maybe 6, I don't know, because there's not that much information. However, one major thing we are informed, though, is, one, they would have rarely ever fought in massive ranks. They would have actually attacked the flank of their opponent and pretty much destroyed them, or as well be an ambush unit. In other words, they would be used of guerrilla-style warfare to stop Vikings or Normans or anybody that actually moves into Ireland. They would actually use ambush-style strategy, mainly by hiding in plain sight along the trails and immediately start throwing their javelins, or war darts, as they were nicknamed. Many people would automatically start asking, okay, Tempo, if this is actually true and such, how come we hardly ever hear about them? Well, that's kind of simple. There's hardly that many texts. In fact, I think there's only like 1 to 3 texts about these guys. So, yeah, their equipment was extremely light. So, why don't we get right into it and you see how cool these guys might have been, shall we? as y'all saw in there, I was pretty much a Lightfoot Irish Kern. Now, the reason they were nicknamed the Irish Kern, as I stated, is because, one, they're not wearing any footwear, and as well no leggings. For that major point, these guys would have been entirely, well, like combat military use. In other words, this is just a regular tunic I'm wearing, and as well, the cloak I'm wearing, this is probably one thing that would actually count as armor. The reason I say this is because, one, it added as camouflage, and secondly, the internal lining of it would actually be made out of hides or leather or something, pretty much from their hunts. In fact, Irish Kern learned to use javelins, bows, and slings pretty much by killing the said wild game in Ireland. And as such, they would actually be nicknamed by the said their first kill that they were known to have hunted. Such as, if I was a young boy who killed a deer or an elk or something, I would probably be named out of something out of that. In other words, my name. For example, my Irish name, literally, I am not kidding, this is actually my name, Connor, because my first name is Connor, and if you put that into Celtic translation, it actually means he who dances with wolves. Meaning, if that means I would be someone who would hunt wolves. I hunted a wolf when I was young. So, yeah. So in other words, I would have been named after a wolf I killed. So, I probably danced with wolves, or in this case, I was in the middle of a group of wolves and probably killed them. So that's kind of how the Irish gave their names to their said children. So, that's how it is. Now, but that's the thing. The internal lining would be made out of the pelts, such as, say, sheep, or wool, or whatever, or deer, bear, or something. It would depend. So yeah, the internal lining would be that of the said game I actually hunted. And as well, the exterior would just be the cloth like wool. But pretty much that's about it for their armor. Now, many people would also say, Templar, you didn't exactly use your long knife. Why is that? Simple. These guys were not meant to be attacking their opponents up close and personal, meaning they were not meant to be part of the shield wall. These guys were a volley military, meaning they took spears, they took slings, they took arrows and such, or bows and arrows, and attacked the said Vikings when they were on the march, or as well attacked them on their flank. Now, it is stated though, the said hatchet, like this, would be used, but they would not use it for throwing type, but actually use it for melee close combat, meaning this was a dangerous weapon for shock combat military units who got hit by the damn thing. So yeah, but pretty much you can understand my point. So, what is it about Irish-style warfare with the Irish Kern during the early periods? How dangerous were they? Well, it's actually stated that these guys would have won battles before a major battle ever happened. Meaning, the Irish Kern fought major battles before the main army ever got there. And these guys were just made up of lower middle class, as well as the common farmers. These guys would have been just without any type of equipment. So yeah. But now, that's just how the Irish would have been. So, pretty much, yes, these is the majority of the said Irish military folk. So, pretty much, this equipment is actually probably the best type of thing I could probably wear for the Irish military warriors. But, yeah. Now, if y'all have any ideas for another how-to video we should cover, please let me know in the comments below. We do have actually probably like about another weekend or so before we end up going into the end of said Celtic month. So, yeah. But let me know down in the comments below of what you want me to cover. And very soon we will have another voting poll up very soon for our next video, or our last video for the said month of March. So, hopefully see y'all in the next one. Have a great day.